Boom, 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 boom. Hey, Thundercloud. Here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, washing away the garbage, living rainbows after rain. Everybody knows Mum calls me James. Let's have some fun and linguistic games. It's Chillin'Tuesday here for the 6th of September 2022. I'm in Seahorse Medicine Cafe. And what have I got for you today? We're going to listen to what the great Wiradjuri poet and cultural warning, I am about to mention the name of someone who's passed on, Gilbert, from Child's Dreaming. And on that note, we'll begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which I broadcast tonight, the Kamilaroi people, Kamilaroi land, and all the First Nations throughout a place now called Australia. Acknowledge the continuing connection to the land of the elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge that sovereignty has never been ceded. Yeah, ever. And he's still waiting for independence. Right, on that note, let's get on. So what have I got for you tonight? I've got Gilbert, first up. I'll be reading from Child's Dreaming, so a few kids' poems, animal stuff, that's my kind of stuff, what I like. That's what I write, but it's not all what I write other stuff too. We've got a couple out of Shelton, Nebuchadnezzar's Dream, and then over here, Millicent Jones, something that she dropped off recently. I'll be reading From the Road to Leongatha from the great Edgeworth, Godfrey Smith, who's passed on now. And this little cracker here, Sand in the Soul by Allan Lake. Now, here I was, sitting at my desk on a Monday, putting in a fellowship application, because it'd be lovely if I could get away and actually write this, or publish Seahorse Medicine, which is all written, but it's just going to be put into stuff. So if anyone wants to publish my poetry, give me a yell, or save me a hell of a lot of time doing it. But in the meantime, Alan here, Sand in the Soul, sent me his book on Monday. The postman arrived, and here it is. Ta-da! And I'm going to be reading out of that later on. So that's special, and that's what's one of the wonderful things that's happening here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, is the Australian Poetry Library and Archive out there, and the huge collection of Australian poetry that I've managed to amass in the last 2.5 years. I've got 500 poetry books there, and look, let's see if we can make it 1,000, hey? So if you've got poetry books at home, or you find them in an art shop, and you would love to buy them and donate them to the Australian Poetry Library and Archive at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame here, then all you got to do is wrap them up, take them down the post office, stick Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, 144 Bradley Street, Yarra, 2365, New South Wales, and I'll be looking after them for as long as this place exists, which the intention is to have it in existence for all eternity, so that this stuff's preserved forever, because poetry is awesome. It tells history, it tells stories, it creates empathy between people and understanding, etc, etc, etc. And yeah, so that's what I'm doing here, sharing people's poetry, because I have a passion for poetry, and if you're watching, you probably do. And I certainly know that all these poets were only poets because they were passionate about poetry. And what a perfect thing to be passionate about, or a beautiful thing anyway. The words escape me. Anyway. Okay, I'm going to start with one, first of all, of Allan Lake's poems, the title poem to Sand in the Soul. Now, this book was published in 2014. by Allan Lake, Xlibris. Okay, written for Rosita. So the first one, sand in the soul. Why not sit down beside the bike path and dump it out? Who knows if we'll be blessed with such a day at the beach again. Thank you, Alan. We'll be reading more out of that later. All right. I'm going to have a sip of tea. I've got some lovely nettle, Gotu Cola and Colliers tea here. Gotu Cola for the brain, nettle to cleanse the kidneys out, Colliers for forskolin, weight loss and longevity. The creation of telomerase, which helps to regrow the telomeres and make you live longer. That's Colliers. Yummo. Yeah, I'm on a bit of a 3-day juice fast at the moment. And, so here we go. The next one I've got for you, from Child's Dreaming by Kevin Gilbert. Where was I going to start from this Child's Dreaming title? Again, the title poem of the book. Now, Kevin Gilbert was a Wiradjuri man. He was of the stolen generation. And he escaped the orphanage and then went back to live with his people by the banks of the McIntyre River, I think it was, here we go. And the photographs in this are by Eleanor Williams too, an ecologist photographer. All right, and if you want to have a look at it, there you go. That's what he looked like. Kevin Gilbert. Child's Dreaming. Within our hands, caress, enfold as dreamings flow to love and teach and guide the soul and heart in all the sacred things that we hold dear and wisdom in our heritage impart. I'll repeat that because it's beautiful. Within our hands, caress, enfolds, as dreamings flow to love and teach and guide the soul and heart. In all the sacred things that we hold dear and wisdom in our heritage impart. Spider. I'm a little spider, merrily I spin my silver threads to make a web for the house that I live in. My pretty circle pattern sometimes agleam with dew, so please don't break my nice house down, and I will spin for you. Spider. Trapdoor spider. Old trapdoor often thinks it's best to close the trapdoor on his nest. He's such a nasty, bitey thing, the ant tribe would all come to fling great ant-sized boulders down on him if he didn't have a door. Termites. The little termites build their house with all their might and main to store their food in summer and keep out the winter rain. They built them facing north and south to keep them cool in summer and protect them from the fires and flood. And porcupine, pora. So must be the Wiradjuri word for porcupine. Here we go. Para, porcupine. Parapora, sorry. I'm parapora, porcupine. You're sure to find my tracks, where I've been digging ants' nests to feast on ants who lack the sense to live in treetops or build their nests in logs, and my fine quills cure them pills for dingo and sheepdogs. Desert orange. The desert orange is hard to find, and it's harder to climb the tree. The fruit is good, its skin is green and full of vitamin C. Okay, that's Kevin Gilbert from the book Child's Dreaming, published by Hyland House in 1992, South Yarra, Victoria. Now, if you come to the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, you can read these books here. They're all in the library out there. And you'll also see the big portrait gallery, and there's a portrait of Kevin Gilbert in there. Now, someone else who there's a portrait of is Shelton Lee. Shelton Lee was a poet from Melbourne who lived mostly in Fitzroy and had an antique bookshop there, but he did a lot for Melbourne poetry and spoken word. And this was published Nebuchadnezzar just posthumously, or the week before he died, or something like that. He died of cancer. He wasn't that old. He was in his late 50s or something like that. But the great poet Dorothy Porter spoke very highly of this, and he said it's a book with balls. In fact, it is. It's got big red balls right on the front, just there. See, and that's Nebuchadnezzar. Now, the story of Nebuchadnezzar, if you don't know, Nebuchadnezzar was an emperor of Babylonia, and he was the fella who threw Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego into the fire. And there was also the other fella, was it Daniel there? Whatever. And he had a dream about a big statue that the head was made of gold, the body was like bronze or silver, bronze, and then clay and bronze feet and stuff like that, and it collapsed, and it was sort of supposed to signify the downfall of the long-term Babylonian Empire all the way right down to the feet, like the collapse of the different empires. Anyway, Nebuchadnezzar, that's a different thing. I'm supposed to be reading out Shelton Lee's book here. Right, he was born in 1946 in Fitzroy and found himself adopted into Toorak. He ran at 12, he ran away, so a bit like Kevin Gilbert really, from home and Carey Grammar, and lived on the street stealing to survive. He did time in various reform schools. 16, he walked into Pentridge Seas Division. Inside the jails, he wrote love poems, letters for tobacco. He travelled and forged Aboriginal bonds, beginning his lifelong commitment to write Australia's black and white troubles. His 2004 interview on ABC television State Line was influential in raising the minimum age for jailing teenagers. Excellent. His first collection appeared in 1962. In the 1960s, he lived in King's Cross, later moving to Melbourne, where he was part of the Heidi set and was associated with Barrett Reed on Overland, the literary journal. He was a prominent reader and mentor. He regularly performs works sometimes with the JAB groups. He's received to Australia Council grants, Victoria Arts funding. Right, so yeah, there we go. All right, now I've got the one marked out here that I was going to read to you, if I can get there. I'm going to read Nebuchadnezzar first. And it's from the paintings by Arthur Boyd, and that's on the front there, one of the Arthur Boyd paintings. For Sonny Booth and Lionel Rose in the voice of Sonny Booth. I am Nebuchadnezzar. My balls are caught with white wire. I am caught in extremis, falling, paying the price for the poor. My body pays with fire, for I am Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Fitzroy. The clouds scud, and the subtle landscapes of trees emanate from me, for I'm the king of what's loud. I am Nebuchadnezzar, and I am the king of Fitzroy. My skin is black, my heart is strong. You see my gardens there in Gertrude Street, beneath the high-rise flats? That's my Babylon, the land that long I've fought for on behalf of my tribe. For this is my country, and I am its king, whose balls are caught in the wire, taut with white wire, who sees blind on a starry night my gardens, whose peace is kept by police from the city of Thje. For I am Nebuchadnezzar, a flame I fall through Fitzroy's skies, my diamond-studded heaven. A fire, I fall into Gertrude Street. My fingernails become claws, and my hair feathers fawns. For I am Nebuchadnezzar, whose balls are still caught in the fire, who goes to the Brasco for an eloquent piss, to find a hand graffitiing the strange words, meme, meme, tekel, apartion. Almost an undecipherable scrawl etched lightly on the dunny wall. And on a Saturday night in my kingdom of Fitzroy, wet with the dew of heaven, I prowl with the lions through my parks. Grab Lionel, he laughs. He loves to congregate with lions, such is Lionel's spell. For I am Nebuchadnezzar, doing my time in the cells, 7 years in exile, smoking Lebanese gold in that putrefying hell. I have moved among the beasts, stalked them behind the forest of the bars, and on the starlight nights have dwelt on savage dreams while listening to murmurs from my beloved Babylon. For I am Nebuchadnezzar. My heart has been stalled by the fury of the streets of Fitzroy, by the police out there with their batons, and my brothers have fell in the gutters. Their black skulls are bleeding, the same blood that's on the lion's claws. But I'm Nebuchadnezzar. Bastardry and beauty surround me. Though I'm still the king, I dream a Fitzroy tree, whose roots are deep in Gertrude Street, whose shadow gives shelter to their beasts of the field, and the fowls of heaven find home along with my kin. For its leaves are as broad as the sun. For I am Nebuchadnezzar, still the king of Fitzroy, still afire and falling, still blind on a starry night, still dreaming the gardens of my beloved Babylon. Yeah, I like it. It's a very powerful poem, in fact. Very powerful. Right, now the other one I was going to read to you here, just a little one, it's a short one. If my life would have a purpose, If my life would have a porpoise, it would be a flamingo. Not the fish whose business is getting caught. I would avoid the nooks and crannies where all the lizards talk to snakes. And of course, the place where echidnas walk on two legs. Something that you can only appreciate that one, like little short ones like that. Sometimes when you read them twice, I could do it again if my life would have a porpoise. Now that is Porpoice, like the dolphin, but if my life would have a porpoise, Shelton. If my life would have a porpoise, it would be flamingo. Not the fish whose business is getting caught. I would avoid the nooks and crannies where all the lizards talk to snakes. And of course, the place where echidnas walk on two legs. Alright, Shelton Lake, Nebuchadnezzar. You can get that online from blackpepperpublishing.com, 403 St George's Road, North Fitzroy, Australia, if they're still operating, which I think they are because that's where I bought it from. Published in 2005, and that was the year Shelton Lee left the planet. Well, he left his body anyway. Alright, let's have a cup of tea. Mouth's a bit dry. Alright. Well, what have we got in poetry news at the moment? Okay, Lambing Flat Riders Competition for Young out of the Lambing Flat Federation of Riders. They've got their competition on at the moment. Yes. So check them out online. What else is happening? Last weekend, this weekend, just gone, Nimbin Performance Poetry World Cup. Congratulations to all the competitors, but big ups to the winner, Boy Renaissance. Yes, you can see their poetry there on YouTube. Check out Nimbin Performance Poetry World Cup on YouTube. It's a 2019 performance of Boy Renaissance and their poetry performance then. But Boy Renaissance did win it just on Sunday. So huge congratulations, big shout out to Boy Renaissance. And I'm hoping Boy Renaissance can come here and do some poetry at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. Or just drop on in and say hello, that would be great. Alright, come to Wednesday Words on a Wednesday night, or even join me on a Chillin'Tuesday, yes. Okay, so poets out there, if you are about some of the things that we do here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, in Yarra, which is sort of on the New England Highway, about 30 k's, 40 k's north of Armidale, 30 minutes. We have a Wednesday Words open mic poetry night, and it's walk-ups, and there's also free camping here by the lagoon. So if you come to Yarra, yes, free camping and Wednesday Words open mic poetry night, always great. And of course, if you give me a bit of advance warning, you're always welcome to come and have a sit and watch Chillin'Tuesdays here as well, live. Yes, from 6:30. Or if you are a poet, I would actually get you to sit down with me and you could do a bit of poetry and we could like bounce off each other. Wouldn't that be fun? But I only want to do it with like, one or two people, not a whole bunch of people because it could get too noisy. Anyway, because that's what we got Wednesday Words for. So Chillin'Tuesday, every week on a Tuesday. Wednesday Words, every Wednesday, 6:30, here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. As the weather warms up, we'll move out of the Seahorse Medicine Cafe here into the auditorium where we've got lots more room for lots more people, and people won't because it's out there and you won't freeze your bits off, whatever bits you don't want to freeze off, but your fingers, because you need them for writing poetry. Yes, you do. Or your beard doesn't freeze. But all right, well, I'm going to move along and read a bit more poetry out. Just clear my throat, pour the tea. Now, Millicent Jones here, she popped in, within the last month. She left me a couple of her books that she'd written, and I've read out of the other one, but I haven't read out of this one. So here we go. Millicent Jones, The Bird of Time, Millie Jones. And what year was it published? I don't actually know what year it was published, because there's actually not a publishing date, but she did it herself. It's absolutely fantastic. Look at it is. It's all full of these fantastic poems and photographs and drawings and artwork by Millie herself. All right, so yeah, so there. All right, here we are. So let's go forward, but I'm not going to read that to you because I'm going to read out the poem that I've picked out here. There's a few actually. The first one is it's a verse poem, and it's metered and rhymed, and it's called Heading West. I'm going west, he mumbled, and I've got a seat that's spare. If you want to come and join me, if you'd like to come and share the red earth and the spinifex, the sunset and space, we'll just follow the highway and end up any place. So we packed our bags, my paints, his line, whatever came to mind, and headed off to somewhere, leaving sparkling sand behind. Looking inland was our vision, giant footprints were the goal. We'd go by distant signposts, cleanse our body, feed our soul. We went by creek and waterfalls and sounds of she-oak sighing, past gorgeous golden wattle and twisted mulga dying, saw the sorrow of relentless dust, the brown and dried up streams, the stark and naked countryside where drought has ended dreams. Past Stockman's Creek and Dead Dog Gulch, the Thompson and Paru, where the only sign of wildlife was the dogged kangaroo, and even they lay mangled on a roadside feast for crows, leaving grease to ride beside us as we drove past endless rows. There's the colours of the distance that jump up, standing clear, defined by beaming ochre, bringing ancient history near, and reds and blues and pinks and greys, the wings of flashing flight, leave us breathless at their beauty like the purple starry night. Our country grows its people as wildflowers in the spring, the kind that lives on nourishment that only hope can bring. You can meet them after work each day in any outback pub, yarning with the barmaid while waiting for their grub. But we'll go home to Easy Street where water's from a tap, not to worry that the rain won't come, couldn't care a rap. Yes, we wandered down the map again and left it all behind, the jewel they call our outback, that only some will find. Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it? Our outback here in Australia. What a magnificent place. So yeah, get out, have a look about. And as I said, free camping here at the Mother of Ducks Lagoon. Mental note to myself. This is really interesting because there's too many words squeezed in this page, and I really struggled to read that when I go over here. The font's bigger. So, note to myself when I'm publishing my books, make sure the font's always big enough and readable enough, because I was quite struggling with that one. In recital, Andy Gugnan, vampire arms, darting spider fingers, and the piano's hapless moan send shivers along the aisles, black music, blood-curdling, harsh drilling chords of Shostakovich. Dracula howls at me. Joy. His little fingers wriggled, wormed their ways into my wailing hand, searching for safety. I breathed content. The gift, silken sand, so smooth against my dying skin, sent waves of honeyed light to walk within us, offering delight. Peaceful, warm, sweet, oblivious of others on the busy street. Here we go. Some weeds. A photo of a weed. My friend the weed. Whizzing past, I saw you struggling between vast concrete slabs. Hey, you there. I send a fleeting hello, then I'm past. Into the rushing day around the roundabout and down into town. That was yesterday. Today I saw you again slowly, cruise to take you in. Sturdy seed unwanted, wiry weed, hell-bent on survival, soaking up dewdrops. Tomorrow what? Will be, will be. But I'll bet the bud will burst to flower, and you will see the master at work, making a miracle. Really nice, that one. That's lovely. I like that. Trees, here we go. I think that I shall never see a poem lovely as a tree. That's the quote she's got here. Through early years we move apace, each growing purity and grace. Smooth, flawless skin and shapely style, alike in beauty for a while. We match each other, sturdy, strong, together march to nature's song. Struggle through the years of doubt, winter's chill or fire or drought, but then our likeness falls apart, a sadness trickles through my heart. My wrinkles, creases, twisted trees are ugly limbs compared to trees. They're stroked, revered and praised with pride. My summers passed, my beauties died. While trees stand firm, divine and tall, I shuffle slowly lest I fall. Of course I wish I were a tree, so idolized in poetry. Of course, poetry and tree, they always rhyme, don't they? Yeah, trees. What else could we write poetry about? Trees, because trees are beautiful. So's tea. Alright, now, before I do the another dead poet, which is Anne Edgeworth, I've got a living poet, Allan Lake, who sent me his book, Sand in the Soul. So I've already read out the first one of this. I'm about to read the second one now. Solar eclipse. The sun. Something to believe in. Fear. It can skin you alive, blind you. Sun worshippers, like leaves, pay homage. acknowledges omnipotence. The ancients, and not so ancients, were impressed. Egyptians, Aztecs, a girl from Ipanema. How henpecked Abraham and his lunar delusion took root in an earth-bound species that depended on sun for illumination is mysterious as the farcical cancer that presumably started with the Tasmanian devil, but hopefully, like the sun, everything runs its course. Diseases, solar eclipses. Winded. Though I forced my bicycle against a wind that worked to get the better of me, every pedal push led to one conclusion. I would be the loser if I continued to defy a force that twists trees, removes roofs. Gust, reprieve, and fiercer gust until I turned. Let go stubborn resistance, limbs, even leaves are thought indispensable till they're gone, exchanged for that defeat relief inherent in surrender to the howling inevitable. Messenger. I was awakened just before dawn by an insistent bird outside my bedroom window. And that bird was a messenger of what is that kept repeating, I am, I am, I am. Fish. A speckled trout swims in the rocky stream, the stream that talks through the trees at the bottom of a gorge. And I have no net, and this I regret. And although this fish has eluded me, I know the spot and have learnt to be patient, and I shall be better equipped in the future. Still, that particular fish becomes art, leaps into metaphor and swims at me now and will continue to do so. That fish caught me. Ruin. Your love has kind of ruined me for any other love. An acorn must become a tree. The moon makes waves upon the sea. A thing that cannot be, there's DNA and destiny, and it seems with you and me, without recourse recovery, this sly disease inside of me, you've colonised the port of me. Inaccessibility for any other. Ruin. I want to do that again. Can I? Ruin. Your love has kind of ruined me for any other love. An acorn must become a tree. The moon makes waves upon the sea. A thing to be cannot be. There's DNA and destiny, and so it seems with you and me, without recourse recovery. The sly disease inside of me, you've colonised the port of me. Inaccessibility for any other. It's just want to pause, and take it in. Sorry. I know I'm supposed to be keeping the flow going, but it's like, poetry just affects me, and sometimes, Really, that's fantastic. Diet. All right, here we go. Diet. Today on Hay, street astray, pigeon struck by a car becomes a source of warm breast meat for two ravens as another pigeon frets from a ledge above. Breast feathers fly into the air and float along cobblestones past the table where I tear at a warm croissant and sip hot coffee and text a message to my own mate. Present perfect. The past burns through my daily bread. As magnifier focuses, a moment combusts. Small details recalled, a walk through poplars, a grassy knoll near river, a kiss. Veil removed, I felt the sacred in your abundant hair, your pregnancy. Despite disarray and fear of rain which came, and the long helix of seasons, that moment smoulders in time it occupies. I look into your eyes now, taste again those lips. Yeah, I like your poetry, Allan. I do, and Allan's been published in quite a few journals in Australia and internationally, by the way. Epiphany. My Madonna drops a tear. A certain veil just off centre forehead protrudes. She shakes in my arms as if chilled in its holy summer. Madonna without child speaks breathlessly of tarot readings and lyrics of pop songs, dates and numbers. My Madonna isn't mine. I didn't make, marry or purchase her, but she insists she is, and I see in those eyes that she must be my own slightly mad Madonna. If God has no lover or sister or mate, I say, behold this childless panting woman. Panting woman. Beautiful earth and fully human, oozing desire and the odd tear, capable of the kind of fusion that could produce a wild Christ child at any propitious moment. I know my place in all this. Okay. Alan Salt. Well, thank you very much for sending your book there, Alan. And I'll tell you what, I'll send you a message actually. I like your poetry. I like it. And I'd like to stock some of your books here. So I'll buy some off you. But we'll talk about that tomorrow online. We'll chat. All right, now, the road to Leongatha. Now, I bought this poetry book only because of the name Leongatha. When I was a little tacker, we used to live, me and my mum and dad and sisters, in a place called Outram. and it's in South Gippsland in Victoria. My dad used to teach at Leongatha, which is not too far from Outram. So the road to Leongatha. It's only like probably, 100 and something out of Melbourne, so it's pretty close to Melbourne too, so it's not exactly like far away from anywhere. But back in the day when this was written, I suppose it was. It certainly was when I was a kid. It seemed like it took forever. Anyway, alright, so, Anne Edgeworth Godfrey Smith was born Anne McIntyre in Launceston, Tasmania. She's had an interesting existence as a scientist, biochemistry, mother of 2 sons, theatre director, university tutor, English literature, and a writer in residence. Amongst other things, based in Canberra since 1954, she was also the 1994 Canberra Citizen of the Year. Currently, she's involved in community radio programs. Well, she's not because she's passed away now. By and for writers, she's had published poems in 23 anthologies and been a guest poet reading at festivals and the National Word Festival. And that was when this was published, which I think was 1996. From memory, she died in 2011. I was just reading up on her before. Alright. She published 3 books of poetry in her life, amongst other things. The Road to Leongatha. Well, will I read you the title poem first? Eva in Amber. And the reason I'm reading this is because I had a customer here in Seahorse Medicine Cafe, and they came in today, and they were they're from Newcastle, and where there's some good poetry coming out of Newey. And she was come here specifically because her husband was across the road, Burgess Garage, the car museum over there, a great place. You come to Yarra, you got the car museum and the Australian Poetry Hall. She came here, we had a good yarn, and then she had breakfast, lunch here, sorry. She had some of my delicious leek and potato soup, or minestrone, and her husband had my leek and potato soup. And she was reading this lady, and she said, "Oh, that's a very funny book." And anyway, so that's why I'm reading it to you tonight. Anyway, Anne Edgeworth, this is part of the Kardoorair poets, started by Tony Bennett. Alright, Eve in Amber by Anne Edgeworth. Eve in Amber. Opposite me, short floppy hair, metallic red. Pale face, freckle-starred, full mouth, closed fast. Against commerce, eyes looking past everything and everyone. What is she doing here on a stuffy suburban train? In a leather jacket, boots, all the gear, visored crash helmet, leather gloves, but no open throttle, no highway, only Sunday weather, and Sunday crowds swaying, absent, for all she'd know, well deep in privacy. Frontiers strapped against imminent atom finger on flesh. Somewhere along the line, she draws her bowstring tight to disappear in the wet afternoon. What could there be for her beyond station gravel, picket fence, worn stair, some petrol Pegasus to swoop between her thighs, take off and loop past Nimbus and ionosphere, a rind of daylight moon burned up, and fat eternal planet far behind? Airport restaurant. In limbo before the point of the next quantum jump, we're enclosed in a thick gel of stewed fat, desiccated curry, slices of soggy joint submerged in brown tide, percolated by an occasional roar from the universe outside. Clocks programmed to ignore time warps, flick, meaningless signals, the vacuum filled with jaws that stolidly chomp off-world. Housing estate, Sydney. Street stood on end, houses stacked one on top of the other. The inhabitants perambulate on the ceiling, heads below heels, easily brushed off, no longer registering, semicircular canals shut down. It looks like we're going into our La Nina and we've got a bit of a cold, wet patch coming up over the next few days. So it's currently about 7 degrees here in Guyra. It feels like about 4 outside. We're heading for about a top of 13 tomorrow, 13 the day after, 12. I think there's rain on Tuesday and what are we up with? Thursday and Friday. It should be a little overcast on Saturday. So don't forget we've got the Guyra Farmers and Craft Market here every Saturday morning. And you can come down and check out whatever we've got here for sale and hear a bit of poetry. We've also got the barbecue out the front on a Saturday morning, happening till 3 times a month if everyone gets their stuff together. So, yeah, it's all happening here in the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. El Nino is the next one. In the dream, rain. Staccato on iron. First tentatively, then longer passages that run into steady drumming, sharpened through leaves, thudding stone hard, kiln-fired clay. In the dream, coming, always deferred, of impossible reprieves from the casual shower, flicked round, then gone, contemptuously away, wind and sun scour, skin against bone. In the dream, day breaks in blurred trails of nimbus cloud, hiding skeletons, hills pours down its overflowing of unexpected grace, astonishing visitation. In the dream, stone rolled away, the corpse place rises in green, flourish of growing, tomb silence gone, hurrying into talk, dead veins quick with water conversation. Okay. Now the title poem of the book by Anne Edgeworth, The Road to Leongatha, for Graham Scott. The road to Leongatha weaves its circles round the crowding hills that lean into my window, wound down to catch the yellow time of pollen afternoon that fills the car with scented wisps and sound of water muffled under leaves. Hedgerows open, close and climb, straight and run beside a stretch of hilltop pasturing. Inside, A fat gold pony and a boy, deeper gold, wheel round and ride. In the race the Tin Invader, hoy. Crossing ragged gaps to glide, shadow dappled out of reach, galloping in sunlit joy. Winds and waves, triumphant arms. Laughs. And suddenly the road throws a transformation scene, veers and plunges steeply down, dodging prim domestic farms. Post and rail fastened gate, ring-barked sentinels and cleared, contours blurring under weight of gathering darkness, with my way lost among the patchwork quilts, all defining colour gone. Far behind the reader halts, night's invaders, where the day gallops with him on the crest, smaller misery of the sun, to vanish with it in the west. And Edgeworth. Alright, how are we going for time? We've nearly been going for an hour there, so look, it's just about time to wrap up. I've got a couple that I've written myself this week, which I might share with you, since I'm always generous like that and love sharing my poetry. So I'll just look for my poetry. My poetry. I am a poetry. Well, we won't do the good night one. You want to hear something funny? Okay. This is done in the same kind of... Actually, it's the same metre and rhyme as the Man from Snowy River, but it's definitely nowhere near as long, and it won't take as long because it's only 5 stanzas. There was movement in the bowels because the baked beans were swallowed down and the toilet bowl had all been sprayed. You could smell it from a mile, it was now a shade of brown. Your turn to clean the toilet bowl today. It was Friday afternoon, he was sitting in his car, he farted and he got an awful fright. He filled his pants with poo, you could smell it from afar. His wife wouldn't let him in the door that night. So he went and found a tap to clean himself up. The cold wind blew and it began to snow. A bulldog came along and it was barely just a pup. It sniffed his bum, then tried to have a go. Imagine how it looked, a dog sniffing a naked man in the snow. It then began to rain because he was greedy and ate the whole baked bean can, and the consequences were quite a pain. A policeman came along, he appeared from the east, he was flabbergasted, also quite surprised. He took his jacket off and covered the man at least. He really couldn't believe his very eyes. That's it, yeah. Wind chill factor, here we go. There's no point yelling at the wind. There's no point crying about the rain, the humidity, the heat or cold. All weather comes again. The wind will blow on all of us. Sometime in life we all have pain. Rise to challenges, don't make a fuss, you need to scrub to remove a stain. Cold exposure makes you stronger, wind, hail, rain and snowy weather attitude. The limit determines who lives longer. Loving souls, memories live forever. Light in dark and dark in light, without fear, without frustration. Sunrise and sets the day and night. Gratitude for all situations. As one ends, another cycle begins, nothing resting, vibrations and flow, yin-yang reflecting fraternal twins. It's always cold when there's snow. I won't cry that the black swans fly. Drought breaks when it rains. Snow comes in black clouds in the sky. There are times when you must unblock drains. This was for all the men out there, all the dads, all the sons, all the young men who don't have dads and that too, who need a father figure. It's about, well, it had a bit of an interesting thing, like happy Father's Day to all my male ancestors. Yes, my dad, Doug, up there, to my sons, Clay, Luca, Sasha, my grandfathers, Walt and Arthur, and all the men of the world who become fathers. I love you guys. One of my main motivations for doing what I do is to be a positive role model. I suppose as you get older and wiser, you take that on as an elder person. However, I'll be the first to admit there are times I've stuffed up, and quite badly, or some crappy shit happened. And I've always viewed the problem as an opportunity for continuous improvement and growth. Back in the day of Nokia phones, I turned my phone on and there was a startup message every day and every way I get better and better. So I strongly identify with stereotypical archetype of the hero's journey. I'm an adventurer, and I believe life is meant to be lived and enjoyed, like really enjoyed, like funny, you know? Why not? Like, just forget the crap, you know? Yeah, so look, so I find it very difficult to even justify my time, wasting time complaining, or even justify listening to other people complaining, wasting time complaining. Yeah. So it's not my problem if it doesn't resonate with my focus, and my current focus is purely two things: my physical and mental wellness, and everything poetry, and building the best possible version of the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. Okay, hence this poem, Sigma 6, it's about quality, continuous quality improvement, Sigma 6, look it up, 6 Sigma, sorry. It's written for my sons, Clay and Luca. Strength has flexibility, agility and speed. Fleas bit dinosaurs on the nose, eyes and knees. If you're dedicated, consistent, take an extra step each day, make adjustments and improvements in every single way. Delayed gratification to achieve a long-term goal and plan of personal development to become a Six Sigma man. Six Sigma human. Don't have to be just a man. Anyone can do it. Panic porn. Will I read out? You want to hear panic porn? All right. We got a disease. We're going to war. Plus a wage freeze. Beware of China and the US. Panic porn time. The right and the left. Staging fights. The east and the west. Panic porn has many views. Tick-tock, it's the 6 o'clock. Time for the scary 6 p.m. news. Selecting stories just to scare. Focus on the panic porn. Immobilised, going nowhere. The world is falling in a hole. Nonsense, that's a lie. Adrenaline and cortisol. Anxiety and hearts beat fast. Addicted to the rush. The panic network's vast. Have you seen the scary news? Terrorist decapitations. 2.7 million views. Panic porn. Alright, well look, I'm at the end of the night here, and so we might as well, it's not the morning, so I can't wish you good morning this morning, but it is good night. Sleep tight, travel through infinite dimensions, 2 parallel lives through astral flight, where you just might meet a friend, grab a bite, fly a kite to the highest of heights, enjoying the sound and of course views. Yes, that's the sight. In your dreams without fright, wake up bright in the dawning sunlight, without bed bugs, to your delight, after sleeping well tonight. Hey, I'm Thundercloud, washing away the garbage, leaving rainbows after rain. You've been listening to Chillin'Tuesdays. Give it one of those things, or 2, and put a comment there because it all helps out. Share it with your friends, send it around the world, and I'll see you next Tuesday, and I'll probably see you tomorrow night, hear Wednesday words open mic poetry night from the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame on Thundercloud, washing away the garbage, leaving rainbows after it rains. Yeah. See you later.